Hello, and welcome to the very first episode of Road to the Draft, a brand new podcast from the British and Irish Eagles, talking about college football, the NFL draft, and what prospects the Eagles could target. The plan on this podcast being a weekly podcast through January, February, March, all the way up till the NFL draft in April. The idea is to take you through 3 prospects each week to give you a bit of a flavour of what's upcoming in this 2025 draft. Obviously, the Eagles are in the postseason, so a lot of us don't have a lot of time to, analyse the draft, have a look at the prospects and all that, because we're too busy in Eagles season, enjoying the drama of the playoffs, and hopefully the Eagles go on a bit of a run in these playoffs and go all the way to the big game. So you have even less time to do any draft analysing. So let me do it for you, because you know how much I love my college football. It's absolutely sensational. And may I say, this past season in college football, the expansion of college football playoffs to 12 teams has been, again, I'll use the word sensational. To have football played on the field instead of being decided in a boardroom has been a revelation for college football. The old format was they would release the college football poll, the top 4 teams in the country would then go on to play the semi-finals, and then a final, the national championship, and that'd be it. Now, with the 12-team playoff, we have, 12 teams in the playoff. It's still somewhat decided by the college football playoff poll, as well as automatic seeding for the various conference champions. And that's usually the Power 4 conferences, so the SEC, the ACC, the Big 12 and the Big 10, which doesn't obviously include the Pac-2, as there is no Pac-12 at the moment. It's disbanded and realigned to the other conferences. But it's sort of become, the 5th spot has sort of become a best of the rest, which went to the top team of the Group of 5 conferences, this year being Boise State in the Mountain West Conference. So very exciting. A lot of people, thought, that Boise State or whoever wins the Mountain West, or the best team in the Group of 5, if it was going to be Boise, if it was going to be Army, they would be the 5th seed, the 5 seed. They would be playing a game in the first round of the playoffs, which didn't come to fruition. Boise ended up in the 3 seed. College football is just drama. If you don't watch it, get a part, become a part of it. We have a college football chat as well, as part of the PSI. So look for that in your group chats if you're not already in there. Come in there, get involved. It's a good laugh. We talk about college football, talk about the games. It's all great. So, just before I kick things off with a couple of tasty prospects, I will give you a quick rundown of the podcast, and also which draft picks the Eagles hold at the moment in 2025. This is speaking, of course, early January. This is very subject to change, how he likes to wheel and deal in the off-season. He's going to bully another GM in the league into giving up a draft pick for Bryce Huff or something like that, something ridiculous. So we may end up in a different position that we're in now. But as it stands, the Eagles own their 1st round pick. The Eagles own their 2nd round pick. The 3rd round pick gets a little bit tricky. As you remember, we traded for Jahan Dotson with the Washington Commanders. At the time, we owned 2 third-round picks, our own pick and Miami's pick. Now, we promised the Commanders a third-round pick in exchange for Jahan Dotson. Which one of those third-round picks, should I ask? Well, the better of the 2 picks that they will receive. So Philadelphia will receive either the worst of those 2 picks, which, I mean, isn't the worst thing in the world, but that's where it is at the moment. 4th round pick, we have the Lions pick in the 4th round, just 1 pick. And then in the 5th round, we have 3 picks, 1 of our own, 1 from the Commies, and 1 from the Texans. So just to recap that, we have a 1st rounder, a 2nd rounder, a 3rd rounder, a 4th rounder, and 3 5th round picks. Tasty. All right, on with the picks, on with the prospects. So the format of this will be quite simple, one that you're used to as a British and Irish Eagles listener. We're going to have the good, the bad, and the damn right sexy on each of these prospects, because I thought that'd be a fun way to examine these guys. Not all prospects are, you know, top of the class, and especially where we're going to be picking at 32 overall in the draft. These guys will have, they're not going to be blue chip players across the board. First up, we'll start with tight end Harold Fannin Jr., tight end from Bowling Green, Ohio. Now, you might ask, Bowling Green, Ohio? I've never heard of them. Where's your Alabama? Where's your Georgia? Where's your, Ole Miss or your Notre Dame or your Ohio State? Bowling Green? Come on, Mick. What are you doing here? Well, Bowling Green, the team from, as I said, Ohio. They play in the MAC conference, the Mid-American. And, it's a conference that we went to not so long ago for our first round pick in Quinyon Mitchell, where he came from the Toledo Rockets. They share a conference, the Mid-American Conference, the MAC, with Bowling Green Falcons. So Harold Fannin, the good. Let's go for the good first. He leads all tight ends in the following categories. Receptions, he has 100 receptions on the regular season. Receiving yards, 1,342. 9 touchdowns, 750 yards after the catch, 31 broken tackles, and he was the first tight end in history to win the MAC MVP. Now, this guy is a polished route runner. He has great hands. He's exceptional in space. You get this guy the ball, he is going to make some magic happen. And that includes at the next level in the NFL. And you might say, this guy plays in the MAC conference, Mike. Who has he played against? No wonder he has 100 receptions and 1,300 yards on the season if he's playing in the MAC against teams like Central Michigan and Ball State and Northern Illinois. Northern Illinois are a good team, all right. But no, on the schedule this season, they were away to Penn State. They were away to Texas A&M. These are elite programs. Penn State are one of the semi-finalists in the national championship. Texas A&M took the SEC down to the final couple of weeks. They have an elite defense. They have 2 guys on the edge who will be top 15 draft picks this year. And this guy, this tight end, Harold Fannin, he put over 100 yards on each of these defenses. 137 yards at Penn State, 145 yards at Texas A&M. And these are hard buildings to play in. Happy Valley, that's a torturous atmosphere to play in. Kell Field, it's probably the most and Kyle Field has got to be the most the most difficult place to play in college football. And he's served over 100 yards and a touchdown in each. Now, on to the concerns, on to the bad. Why is this guy not at the very top of the draft? If he leads all tight ends in college football, why is this guy not in the top 15? Why is he not being spoken about with the likes of Tyler Warren from Penn State or Colson Loveland from Ohio State, who are the first round tight ends in this draft. And by the way, this is quite a deep tight end draft. Why is that? It's because of his size. He's 230 pounds, so obviously there's a massive concern there about the next level and him being bullied in the line if you try to line him up in the H-back position or an in-line tight end. Now, he grades out quite well in run blocking, but if you ask this guy to do some pass blocking in the NFL at the next level, he will get absolutely trucked by a defensive lineman. So he's going to have to put on some meat in the NFL. Will that take away his route running abilities, his separation? It very well could, and that's why he's going to fall into maybe the second round, maybe day two, definitely day two pick. The risk and reward is there. I think he could be a fabulous player in the NFL in the right situation, which brings us on to the Eagles' need for this position. Now, as we know, we're about to head into the playoffs, and Dallas Goedert has not been available for most of the season. He played some snaps against the Giants in the final week of the year. We all have got Dallas Goedert. I mean, I've got a Dallas Goedert jersey. I've got a Dallas Goedert t-shirt that I had made. But, dear listener, I'm afraid the Dallas Goedert era is over in Philadelphia. I think his time has come to an end. The best ability is, let's say it together, 1, 2, 3, availability. And Dallas Goedert has not been available to the Eagles roster. And we need someone more reliable. And this guy is reliable. He has reliable hands. I think he could be a fantastic player at the next level, and just another weapon for Jalen Hurts. Now for the damn right sexy on Harold Fannin. I did promise it. And look at the bowl game that was played between Bowling Green and Arkansas State. Harold Fanning had an absolute day. Go and look up the highlights of that one. Look at just the stat line. 17 receptions on 22 targets for 213 yards and a touchdown. If that's not sexy, I don't know what it is. Beautiful. So swiftly moving on to prospect number 2 in our Road to the Draft podcast, we have Xavier Watts, safety from Notre Dame. He's 6 foot, 203 pounds. Is this a homer pick? Possibly. Yeah, everyone who's listening to this podcast will now know that I'm a Notre Dame fanatic who are in college football playoff semi-finals, about to play Penn State in the Orange Bowl down in Miami this coming Thursday night, which I'm very, very, very excited about. And Xavier Watts is one of those names that the Penn State offensive coordinator will be circling, because this guy is an absolute game wrecker. He is all about the ball. He floods to the ball. He rallies to the ball. He has back-to-back years of production. In 2023, now forgetting what year I'm in now, in 2023 he had a breakout year in Notre Dame, and he's not looked back since. 2024, replica season, he ran it back, and two-time unanimous All-American safety. He's superb in coverage, and he understands his assignments. He is a high IQ player. He's got a coverage grade of 88.8 and didn't allow over 40 yards in a game in coverage all season, with a passer rater against of 30.4. Now this guy is versatile. He can play as a single high, or he can come down to the box. As I said, he swarms to the ball. The guy is elite. He has elite speed, and he has a high football IQ. Now, I'm going to take the chip on my shoulder here that I have for Notre Dame players. And this happened with Kyle Hamilton. Kyle Hamilton was, don't get me wrong, Xavier Watts isn't Kyle Hamilton, okay? So don't expect Kyle Hamilton to come in. But Kyle Hamilton was top 5 player in the draft, and he slid and he slid and he slid because of Notre Dame bias. um, and look where he is now. He's one of the best safeties, if not the best safety in the league. Jeremiah Owusu-Koromora, you'll know him better as JOK, Jock, plays for the Cleveland Browns. He's a linebacker. Another absolute phenomenal player. One of the fan favourites in Cleveland just now. They don't have a lot going for them, but they have JOK. He had the first round tag on him to start the draft process, and he slid and he slid and he slid all the way down to the second round where Cleveland picked him up. I was beside myself that he slid that far. Don't let Xavier Watts slide too far in the 2025 NFL draft because he is that good. However, I will say I don't think he's worth the first round grade, so I wouldn't be expecting Howie to draft him with the 32nd pick. We're sort of looking at a day two, maybe day three. Day two, definitely either round two, round three, possibly with the trade up in round three, depending on where our pick lands. But again, a position of need as well. I mean, we have CJ Gardner-Johnson back there. We have Reed Blankenship back there. Yeah, that's great. They two have been playing the Fangio scheme. They've been playing out their skins all season. They've been racking up the interceptions. How many interceptions has CJ got in the season? I think he's one of the league leaders in that area. What have we got behind them? We don't have much. We've had to play Tristan McCollum in times of dire need, and it's not good. It has not looked good this season. Sidney Brown, I love Sidney Brown. I loved him when he came from Illinois. I thought he was going to be a fantastic player, and he still can be a fantastic player. Plays with his hair on fire. He does not stop, and it's caused him to pick up a few injuries. He's had a few concussions. He's had some injury bad luck. The guy needs reps. He needs to stay on the field, but he's found himself way down in the pecking order at the moment in the safety position in Philadelphia. He will need the off season, a proper training camp. He obviously was recovering from that massive injury at the end of last year, so he does need time. But I think if we bring in Xavier Watts behind them, some healthy competition in the position as well, it would be a fantastic addition to our team. Now, bad, you're not getting a bad for a Notre Dame player, so I'll I'll give you no a bad. We'll say sometimes he is prone to missing tackles. Not all of the time, but he can get a bit too excited. A bit like Sidney Brown, plays with his hair on fire, swarms to the ball. Players can make him miss. And I would say he really has to improve on that at the next level. But I'm sure our coaching staff can definitely help him make sure he gets players wrapped up. The damn right sexy for Xavier Watts. He's a playmaker. He has 12 interceptions in the last 2 seasons. This guy is a ball hawk. He always has an eye on the quarterback, and he always makes big plays in big moments. That is huge for his game. It could be huge for our team to produce turnovers. That's how you win games, or you make sure games are won. Okay, so I'll move on to prospect number 3. What's behind door number 3? I feel like Cilla Black. All right. So the next player is Landon Jackson, an edge player from Arkansas, who is 6'7", 281 pounds. Yes, that's right. I will repeat. He is 6'7", 281 pounds. Ideal build for someone in that position. He has 6.5 sacks in each of his last 2 seasons at Arkansas. 28 tackles for loss over the last 2 seasons. Had a total of 36 pressures in 2024, which includes his 6.5 sacks, 8 hits, 21 hurries, and 4 batted down PBUs. Because, of course, a guy with a wingspan the size of a 747 airplane can bat down some passes when he's at that height. He jumps off the screen at you in that Arkansas defensive line. And don't let his size fool you. He's credited with 33 run stops with an overall grade of 87.5 in run defense. This is a versatile guy. He will chase down the runner. He can set the edge. He's not just an out-and-out pass rusher. He has that ability. He has the bend. He has the size. He has the wingspan. But he's also good in coverage. He's good setting the edge and making sure the running back doesn't turn that corner. He's a high football IQ player, and he has great burst off the line. Watch his first step. If you watch any Arkansas games, if you look up on YouTube, watch his first step on the line. He is explosive. I expect this guy to perform very well at the scouting combine. Uh, and this, you know, I think defensive end is probably a big need for us in the draft. Who knows if Brandon Graham's going to come back and what condition he's going to come back in. You know, we all love Brandon Graham. We all love the story, but it's got to come to an end at some point. Bryce Huff has just been an absolute bust. I don't know if we're intending to keep him into next season, or if we have to, depending on the cap situation. But this is a edge heavy draft. I mean, I could talk about guys like Abdul Carter, Mikael Williams, Nick Scourton, or James Pierce from Tennessee, but in my opinion, these guys are all going to go at the top of the draft. I don't see them falling all the way to 32, where the Eagles are going to be picking, obviously. So I'm looking at guys who, you know, may fall to the end of the first round, maybe the start of the second round. I will go on to speak about more of these prospects as the podcast goes on over the next few weeks, you know. So I'm looking at guys like Landon Jackson from Arkansas. I'm looking at guys like Jack Sawyer from the edge from Ohio State, Mike Green from Marshall, you know, possibly LT Overton from Alabama. Some of these guys haven't fully declared yet because they're underclassmen, but I will still have a look at them during this draft process as we continue on. Back to Landon Jackson, yeah. So I think where he is in the draft board at the moment, he does require some development. He doesn't have all the pass rush tools. Obviously, 6.5 sacks is pretty good production. You maybe expect a little bit more from him there. Yeah, there's definitely more he could do, but I think with our coaches, with our defensive line staff that we have, this is a guy who could be really scary on the edge and help out. You know, when Jalen Carter's getting double teamed, this is the kind of monster that could be coming through. Unbelievable. Get this guy in an Eagles uniform. That's what I say. This is the sort of prospect that you spend your first round pick on. And the damn right section for Landon is, I've already actually covered this. It's his burst off the line. It's his athleticism. You're going to see him do very well in the scouting combine. And, you know, folks, it could actually take him out of our range and when we're picking on the board. So hopefully it doesn't. I would love to see him in Midnight Green, and it's one that I will definitely have my eye on throughout the entire. Okay, so that's the end of the podcast, I'm afraid. I've had a little bit of fun doing this. This is actually the second time I've had to do this. I recorded this podcast yesterday, but unfortunately I had some troubles with the equipment, with the IT, and I recorded 30 minutes of silence, and I was absolutely raging to the point I wasn't sure I was going to re-record this. It's hard to do the same thing twice. Hopefully the content hasn't suffered as a part of that, and I've done a good job the second time. I hope you've enjoyed listening to it. You know, let me know your thoughts. Give me some feedback, please. Talk to me in the college football chat as well that we've got on WhatsApp. I'm all ears. If you've got any prospects you want to talk about, you want to look at in future episodes, I'm happy to hear you out and have a look at them and discuss them. Get excited about draft time. As I said, we know the Eagles are going through the playoffs, so we're not necessarily looking at the draft at the moment, but that's what this podcast is for. It's just a quick 30 minutes, 3 prospects, get them out, get them heard, and come draft time, once the Super Bowl's over and things like that, you'll be like, oh, I remember him. Mick was talking about him 2 months ago. So hopefully that's given you a little bit of a taste of what's to come in the 2025 NFL Draft. Thank you very much for listening, and I'll see you in the next episode.